You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Beat DJ-licious.
Man, it has been a minute. Welcome to the forecast. We probably won't be the forecast again tonight. Wilkes got some daddy duties and some other stuff you got to take care of tonight, so you won't be on more than likely. But we're back again with another review. The forecast right at this same exact time, 8:30 Central, on BS3 Network, BS3 TV, Facebook, Roku, YouTube, Twitter. So wherever you watch your podcast, that's where we are. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our channels as we continue to build the brand. And I'll have it scrolling down at the bottom. BSV Network, Queen 3 and King, the forecast, and the end of the bench media. My bad for sending the link out late, A-Trap. But how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I actually just ended the show. Me and Joe debated until like 8:19.
Oh, wow. That was going in.
Yeah, it wasn't going in. It was crazy. It was bananas, man, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's what's up. Well, you looking good, man. You slimming down more?
Yeah. Okay. You know, trying to be all that. Trying to be all that in a big bag of chips with the dip.
All right. And the one and only King Dog, how you been? Where you been? What's going on?
Hey, I can't get out my business though. You know, I can't tell you where I done been, nothing like that. Just know I done been good. And we kind of like the Cowboys offensive line. We ain't played together in 3 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, that full O-line, man.
Yeah. But nah, I'm good. So they definitely gonna get a treat today because I'm gonna act like a kid who ain't seen his best friends in a long time. So I'm gonna act plum fool. So just get ready for it. It's gonna be a whole lot of A-Trap saying this guy.
Be some head shaking.
It's gonna be a whole lot of head shaking. I'm just upset that my partner Mayhem Wilkes ain't with us today, man. I was planning on him. I was gonna use him as a little bit of a punching bag today, and he done left. So I guess it's gonna be you two gentlemen that have to share the love.
All right. So on the recommendation of A-Trap and Blue Street gave us this recommendation as well. There she is in the building. Thank you for tuning in. The Burial, which is a new film that's out on Prime Video, starring Tommy Lee Jones, Jamie Foxx, and Juicy Smollett's sister. So it's this is one, and go ahead and give us the plot.
Yes, sir. So an acclaimed legal drama with a stellar cast, The Burial features 2 Oscar-winning actors in the roles of its main characters, along with many other talented performers. The Burial is based on a true story, taking inspiration from Jonathan Harr's article of the same name published in The New Yorker in 1999 about a charismatic personal injury lawyer, Willie E. Gary. You can tell by that name, he black, Willie E. Gary.
Oh, yeah.
Played by Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, it's Willie Gary.
Yeah, right.
It go together.
You run it together, yeah. Again, played by Jamie Foxx, who took up the case of the financially struggling owner of a funeral home, Jeremiah Joseph O'Keefe, played by the one and only Tommy Lee Jones. As this duo goes against the corporate giant in the funeral business, the Prime Video original movie's plot exposes a larger network of economic exploitation and racial injustice. And that's the piece, unfortunately, in the plot, it only gives a half a sentence. Okay, plot exposes a larger network of economic exploitation and racial injustice. I think they should have made a bigger play on that, because to me that was the most significant part of this film, man. That rescued it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt like, as we get into some initial thoughts, I felt like it was a great plot. Obviously, it's based on true events, so as long as you carry it out and you add that, they're going to add that theatrical to it.
Right.
I felt like they did a good job. Initially you didn't know where it was necessarily going, but you had a sense that Tommy Lee and Jamie was working together. You didn't know to what degree, but I felt like they killed it. They delivered this, and this is obviously not something far-fetched, which we're definitely going to get into at some point, that this happens in multiple industries, multiple different businesses. So A-Trap, initial thoughts.
I mean, it was a very good movie. I enjoyed the interaction with Tommy Lee and Jamie. It was the white. I mean, it was a. I hate to use this phrase, this terminology, but it was a good, wholesome film.
No,
and it was I don't want to diminish it. It was a good story. It was a good cast. It was a good interaction. I really enjoyed it.
No, I don't think you should be apologetic for that, A-Trap. I think that's an astute observation, number one, especially in the world. Think about how many movies that technically probably aren't suited for families to watch together, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's a ton of those out there. So I think that's a very astute observation, and one that our audience should be aware of. That it's a good family movie. It's got some, good teaching points for, the younger ones. And as you mentioned, Tommy Lee Jones, man, that cat, we can't underestimate back, because again, if I could recite the roles of his on the what was the name of that movie he played with? I think it was Harrison Ford, The
Fugitive.
The Fugitive. And he goes, I want you to go to every hen house, outhouse, dog house, when he was looking for it. That's the most iconic Tommy Lee Jones scene ever, and he was hot back then. And I think Tommy Lee Jones is one of those actors, man, that he can get into any role and become that dude, I think he did a fantastic job here. The interaction with his wife, man, the interaction with Jamie Lee Foxx, the interaction with his first attorney, all of that, man. I thought he killed it.
Yeah, and the Men in Black, that he's well known for that. Yeah, he did Two-Face and Batman Forever. That was in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So I mean, at 77 years old too, he was able to hang in this. It wasn't like, you could tell he getting older, but it wasn't like he dropped off.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just go on to be fair about this shit, because my note, one of my first notes, it says Tommy Lee Jones look old than a motherfucker. So, I was pleasantly surprised at his ability to be able to put it together. Because at first, when they just first showed him, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a sad tale if we got to watch the old Tommy Lee Jones, Yeah, but it looks we're deceiving in that.
Yeah, and he had that Viola Davis limp. Every movie Viola Davis got that limp. Shout out to her though, man. She does have a limp.
Wow. Speaking of shout outs, let's hit this chat room. We got, of course, the Blue Streak Freak. She goes, welcome back, thank you. We got the artist formerly known as Benita Whitfield. She got the album cover picture up there. She says, hey, family. And then, of course, Rucker Park in the building says, good evening, gentlemen. What's going on, ladies?
With the new Abby photo as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She got a Salad Jesse Raphael glasses on, look like. Put that back up there. I think they in red Salad Jesse Raphaels. Hey, we sure appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're new to the forecast, I'm telling you like this, we treat you like family when you come in, whether we know you or not. So if you ain't looking to get ranked on, a Jones on, a capped on, a scored on, or whatever you call it, you come to the wrong place. That's what we do. That's how we welcome
you. Yeah. All right.
Shout out to my co-host, Average Joe. He watching.
Okay. That's
Hey, what's up? What's up,
though.
Average Joe? Appreciate you for tuning in. All right, so obviously we
What's
said
up
it
with my
based on
foolishness?
puts up with the foolishness. Based on true events, and they started off with a Clovis Tubbs case. It was Clovis Tubbs versus somebody, but it gave you a sense of who Willie Gary is. Charismatic, somebody that was able to basically win the jury over, and he mainly did injury cases. If you were in Texas, you know Brian Longcar, what's the other cat? Ben Abbott, one of those types of cats.
Ben Abbott and the Associates. Don't let an accident change your life. Yeah, we know the tough smart.
Hello, Ben.
I will hammer the truck driver. Why do y'all gotta talk like this? I'll get you what you deserve.
I don't know, man. They be so passionate, man. They got to make sure they prove it to you.
They carrying
They're gonna get you that
sledgehammer,
money.
standing on top of the roofs of 18 wheelers and shit.
Yeah,
man, just tell me you're a good lawyer. You ain't need to do all this.
Come on, man. You ain't got to be walking down the street with a lion. What's the other
Yeah.
one? Come on, man. Come on,
Right.
man. Get out of here.
Right, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, Jamie Foxx's character is a cross between, for those of you who are familiar with the Breaking Bad story and Better Call Saul, he a cross between Saul Goodman and Johnny Cochran. Hey, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and they did it perfect. They had that. They were in that restaurant, and they had Johnny
Hotel
Cochran.
bar.
I felt like that was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
That was necessary to do that. But you got to see his how charismatic he was, how he was able to basically prove his point to the jury, and everybody applauded. I mean, to me, that was, and I don't think that was even far fetched. I'm pretty sure that actually happened because he hadn't lost the case either. I think we definitely got to point that out. Yeah. So kind of when they're introducing Willie Gary, what was your thoughts, A-Trap? I'm gonna go to you first.
I thought it was very interesting, and the way they, because I had never heard of this guy, and it was very interesting the way they introduced him, and what it did, it left not Willie per se, but the system left a bad taste in my mouth, because it just shows you how many people either get incarcerated or lose cases simply because of, we're not even dealing with the law, we're dealing with charisma, we're dealing with the theatrics of it. And that's why I left a bad taste in my mouth. We're probably incarcerated. But every time we turn around, we see someone who's been incarcerated for 25, 30 years get out. And we find out, well, he wasn't the guy who did the rape. He wasn't the guy who did the murder. He wasn't the guy who did ... So while I was enamored by Willie, it was disheartening to look at this situation and say, good grief.
Yeah.
People's lives are hanging in a balance on theatrics versus the reality of a situation.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because a lot of times people in those situations can't afford an attorney, so one will be appointed to you. We didn't say a good one,
right?
We said
gonna get one,
and chances are it's probably going to be the opposite of a good one, because that's why they a court-appointed attorney, because they trying to make $250 an assignment so they can survive, and pay their bills, and 9 times out of 10, they not in this. I'm not a defense attorney because I believe in defending folks, and that they deserve a robust defense. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here because I'm fresh out of law school. I ain't making no money in this game yet. I got to build up my clientele. You get what you get, and unfortunately, a lot of times they're not putting in a lot of time, effort, resources in it whatsoever. So they're not really familiar with how to read a jury, how to select a jury, how to play off of them, et cetera, et cetera. And your prosecuting office is generally way ahead of the curve on that. So the deck is stacked, to say the least.
Yeah, and that goes into a film we did. I don't remember the name of it. But it was on Tubi, and the woman was accused of a crime, and the attorney she got was not really her attorney. It was just somebody that they gave her, and he was trying to immediately say, hey, you need to get this plea in.
Yeah,
and that was the case that was here in Texas, if I
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
think of
the
it.
young black lady. I can't think of the
Right.
name of it either.
Yeah,
Right.
which is why so many cases the numbers would be staggering at how many cases never make it to trial. You
Yeah.
know, because they get them to plead out. You know, and that's because that's what the public defender is trying to do 9 times out of 10. You know, and if
Right.
somebody can't afford an attorney 9 times out of 10, it ain't gonna be no big shot attorney. You know,
Right.
it's gonna be somebody you can afford. You know, at a strip mall somewhere. You know,
Right.
that's you know got a reasonable rent he can afford. You know.
Right. Right. At the town easts of the world and the Redbirds of the world. Yeah.
Which
They,
really goes to HRAP. It makes me think about how HRAP really pushes for our youth to get into some of these careers that we getting jacked by. Like, hey, I need y'all to be police officers. I need y'all to try to be attorneys. I need y'all to try to be judges, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So we can get to a point to where we have a representation that is solid, you know.
right. Right. And the name of that film was American Violet,
Oh, yep,
which
that's
shout
it.
out to Blue Street. That was one she recommended.
Yeah.
I would definitely say watch it. There is some parallels between this film and that one. Now a funny scene, which Jamie is in it, man. You know he gonna be Jamie, man.
Mhm.
He gonna be Jamie. It's gonna be funny. But there was a scene where he met Tommy Lee when he met Tommy Lee Jones, and Tommy Lee Jones had Hal with him, and he said, "Man, I thought this was your sponsor child or something."
Yeah.
Because Tommy Lee Jones had his character was not, even though he was in the South, he wasn't racist. He wasn't one of those where, like his lawyer was. He was more so wanting to just get whatever he could get out of this case, so his family would be secure. And so he had a black lawyer, a guy that was young, similar to what we was just talking about, somebody right out of college. But he kind of felt like his perspective would have been different than his own lawyer, which to me was that was a risk because that could have went down any type of way. So I felt like he really wanted to win and do it the right way is the sense that I was getting. Doc, you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, no, I can't add anything to that. I think that's well stated. That
Yeah.
was exactly my observation of that sequence of events, no doubt.
Yeah. So Tommy Lee Jones played Jerry O'Keefe, and we already said Willie Gary. And Jerry ended up getting into some financial trouble, but later on we ended up to find out it was in some Ponzi scheme BS that he was trying to do to. Again, I think when we are in situations where we want to leave a legacy for our family, I think sometimes you end up getting in risky situations where you think it's going to take you to that point, but ends up taking you even further back, and that's kind of what he ended up getting into.
Yeah, that's a good point. That was one of the notes that I made. Is that as one of the most significant quotes in this movie is that the one thing that means the most to me is being able to leave something to my children, legacy. And legacy is one of those words, man, that over the last 2-3 years or so, that's been big for me, you know. And as you were talking, one of the things that that hit me is that legacy is not about building fast. It's about building consistently, you know, and smartly, you know. So unfortunately, a lot of people generally, sometimes because again, we're still in the process. If you're not watching the End of the Bench, if you're not following HRAP on his shows, he has a very conscientious thought process, right? And he's trying to wake us up in a lot of different areas, right? And unfortunately, a lot of us don't get clicked to that area until we reach 40 years old, and we're like, oh shit, you know. And then at that point, you kind of realize I'm behind the 8 ball, you know. And if you add up how much money you're gonna need at retirement age, or you know, et cetera, to try to survive, you know, so sometimes it's too late. So yeah, that's a big statement, you know, about that legacy.
Yeah. A-Trap, you want to touch on that?
Oh yeah, it was definitely, and it's ironic that Doc brings that up, and it does. And, you know, again, while I did enjoy this movie tremendously, it kept stabbing me in the gut. Doc mentions how a lot of people who are working class they wait until the last minute to get squared away. Because we don't one thing that Tommy Lee had, he had 10 generations of success.
Mhm.
So when success begets success. If you've never seen it, you don't know how to prepare for it. If you don't prepare for it, you lose it. So we are living in times in which, as you mentioned, Ponzi schemes, and it's always somebody trying to squash.
Hey, with DJ Envy going on, real estate, that's basically what that is, right?
Exactly.
Hey, Ben, me and you know somebody that we were in a ministry with that got involved in some real estate stuff.
Yeah.
As well. So that's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, like you mentioned DJ Envy. DJ Envy he has dedicated, from what I've seen on the outside looking at, he's dedicated his career to helping disenfranchised people. He's trying to turn people on to opportunities. And then you got a crook step in and has ruined DJ Envy's name. And you even have people calling for DJ Envy to be terminated now. Now, DJ Envy is more than likely a multimillionaire. DJ Envy got like $1 million in cars alone, so he's gonna be okay. Worst case scenario, he sell all those cars and sell all the properties that he owns, and he's gonna be okay.
Right.
But it's always that entity on the outside trying to muscle in and destroy what you've worked your entire life on.
Yeah.
And that's the America that we live in today. Yeah. So again, whereas I'm watching Willie and I'm watching Jamie play Willie, and I'm watching the story Tommy Lee play the other guy, and I'm watching the story, and it just, for one, as you stated, I do push for the community to be conscientious about what's going on. Wake up, realize what's going on. But even when you wake up and realize what's going on, now you got to deal with the wolves and the snakes.
Mm-hmm. Not knowing who to trust. Wasn't 100%. Yeah. And a lot of time, H-Rap, you talk about it's that guy, folks trying to muscle in and destroy you. A lot of times, it's the same people who put you on. And now, since you done got up there, Negro, and you ain't playing by our rules or doing it the way we want you to, or meeting with our agenda, we're gonna teach you a lesson. Oh, okay, boy.
You a lesson.
You done got we got you.
Yeah. And not to hop on the show. That's like me and Joe. We went off the rails today. We did a lot of arguing today, and Joe didn't really like it. And but that's my thing. I thought it was a great show. But it'll be someone who walks into that, and they'll think me and Joe have an issue, and they'll try to draw a wedge, like you said. They'll draw a wedge between us, and this is what we always have to be aware of. And maybe we can't afford a Willie. Maybe we can only afford, like y'all got that guy. It's this guy Jeffrey Levin, down 22. Like what I got shafted. Y'all know my injury history. I got shafted. I ain't get a dime. I'm permanently injured right now. I did not get one thin dime.
You got to be kidding me, man.
All I got was my bill. My medical bill paid.
Shit, I was hoping to retire off your shit, man. Hey,
who you telling? And if I hadn't, y'all know my history. Y'all told y'all what I do. But if it wasn't for that, I would be screwed right now. I would be literally screwed. So you talking about, I was riding, and I was like you said, dog. You riding high, and then somebody step in, and then all the thing I got was my bills paid. Which is good. My credit is still intact, things of that nature. But all I got was my bills paid. So it's all, like you said, if you are not wheeling and dealing and financially secure, you could run into a situation to where you could be financially ruined.
Yeah.
And Ben, let me give a quick shout out to. We don't do this often enough, as far as I'm concerned, to those viewers who have given us some love with some hearts and some likes and whatnot. Yeah. Keith Williams, Ronald Cameron, of course, Blue Streak Freak gonna be in there every week. The Baby Queen, Alicia Viles, Nithin Ramachandra, Tiani Davis, AJ Jethwa. AJ Jethwa seemed like somebody I want to go to battle with. Shit, me and Jethwa coming to get your ass. And then Sean Clinton. We appreciate Network. Yeah. So we appreciate that.
RC, Ronald Cameron. That's
RC. Yeah, RC down there too.
Hey, one who make the soda.
Not that us.
No, not that I said. Not me. That's our RC, not me and my RC.
Okay.
But RC is a huge boxing fan, man. I tried one time to
You
get
know
him on
what,
the
man? I
podcast.
wish boxing would come on back and we can get us a big boxing show on BS3 Network, man.
Yeah,
I'm a boxing fan like that.
Hey, it's possible. Hey,
It's
but
possible.
RC knows his stuff, man.
No, it's funny that you bring that up, dog. Boxing,
Thank you,
I
Kenny.
personally believe boxing missed their beat in regards to making a comeback. If Big Homie got knocked, if he'd have lost to that MMA guy, the whole MMA world turns over to boxing right now. They tuned into
He
boxing.
almost
They
did.
wanted to make.
He knocked him clean out too.
He knocked him clean out, and they gave it gave him the victory because he's the champ. If they would have just gave it to him, he would. That whole MMA crowd would have walked over.
Yeah, and you know, to touch on that, the amount of money that he made on that boxing match is probably double what he would have made.
Oh yeah,
in the UFC match.
No
so
doubt.
It's already happening. It's just, you know, I guess they got to match it up with you know what works best for them. But Nate Diaz did the same thing when he fought. You know, it's kind of a joke, but when he fought the Paul brother. But he got paid probably more in his whole career in that one fight. So makes more sense. Less hits to the head, more money. But all right. So to kind of get into the gist of this, a company out of Vancouver.
Spell gist.
I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Look it up.
This fancy HBCU education.
Hey.
Hey, like your mama used to say, look it up in the dictionary. I don't know.
Blame it on the boogie.
Yeah. One of my favorite Jackson 5 songs.
But the company out of Vancouver, and that guy who was the CEO, I mean, that guy's played probably ball and everything I've ever
a very good character role actor. Yeah, he
just looks like
he looked like a slime ball, doesn't he? Used car salesman kind of guy. Yeah. If you've ever bought a used car, you've met this guy before.
What'd you say?
All is a profession.
Yeah, no doubt.
So they're out of Vancouver, and they figure out all of these companies that are funeral homes and that are about to go under, and they basically go in and buy it, and they sent the government there because they knew, hey, he's getting under his money. I had a sense that they sent the government there somehow. Otherwise, there's no way he would have known what was going on. But they end up coming in and say, hey, we'll help you out. You know, we'll make a deal. They shook hands, and it ends up that the deal never happened, and they just basically waited until it came to a point where that's the only choice you had, and that's what kind of kicked this whole thing off. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, no doubt. And what they try to do is they play this waiting game because they know if people in trouble with money, not only do I need money, I need it now.
Right.
You don't know too many people that need money. They in a tight that, oh yeah, I can wait 90 days. Shit. No, if I'm calling you, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna teach folks out there, you know, again, we say that we just review movies to give us an excuse to talk about shit. You saw how Ben and both him and A-Trap both caught on the end of their chairs. We started talking about boxing. Boxing ain't got shit to do with this movie. But they ass excited. But my point is that with the forecast, this is just an excuse to start a conversation, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna give you some a tip. If you have trouble saying no when folks come ask you to borrow money, say, yeah, I got you. You know, it'll be say it'll be 2 weeks down the road, 30 days down the road. That's your no without having to say no, because them jokers need that now.
Right. It's gonna be a little while.
Yeah. So they just basically tried to outweigh him. You know, they knew he was in a tight. I got him over a barrel. You know, if I can outweigh him, the deal that I made, which I'm happy with, is gonna be a better deal in 30 days if I can make his ass hurt a little bit.
Right. And kind of come to find, so they go and meet with him, and to me, this made me think of, obviously he was a slime ball, but then he ends up saying like, hey, the baby boomers are all about to die, so I'm about to make buku's money, and And on the other side of the table, Tommy Lee Jones is like, that's not what I'm about. I'm just more of a family business. He was like, yeah, well, I'm a family man too. And he tried to kind of convince him like, hey, I'm not gonna cheat you out of this deal. So he was going in with the big boys, and I think he came in thinking he was naive.
Yeah.
And
and if the slime ball guy was comfortable telling him, hey man, the baby boom was about to die. Think about how many other conversations he had with funeral home directors and owners throughout the country and throughout the years of him building and amassing that empire. That means a lot of them thinking that way. Hey, right. Tommy Lee Jones's character was probably a rarity in this situation where they're not trying to, and I don't begrudge businesses for trying to make money. Profit. That's what we're in business for. It's a for-profit business. We are not a non-for-profit business. And even, I got news for you, even some non-for-profit organizations is trying to make some money, so I don't begrudge them for trying to make a profit, but how you go about doing it is another thing, So yeah, Slime Ball had already been telling folks that all over the country.
Yeah, dog. Slime Ball is kind of my nickname.
Well, you need to give us an alternative.
Yeah, you need to give us.
I don't have my. Let me break my thesaurus out
right.
We can get something different.
Heathen.
Okay, we can go with heathen.
Heathen.
Heathen. We can go with my uncle's favorite word. What do you say? Trifling.
Trifling. Yeah.
But one thing I didn't realize, and maybe this is something that is just the norm, is that these funeral homes, they have a funeral home and insurance company, is what they were saying, and
burial insurance.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a pre-need policy. It's generally, those policies are very popular for people who have waited too late. In other words, waited till their parents or loved ones have gotten up in age and can't afford a traditional life insurance policy. So you go get a burial policy that just pays for the expenses of that, So funeral homes, a lot of them are in conjunction with insurance companies to get that done, right? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, here's another pro tip, okay? Go get you the burial policy in addition to your life insurance policy, because your burial policy is going to pay for your loved one's funeral expenses and stuff like that, and all your life insurance money, you and your folks split up and start building on your legacy.
Right.
Hey, Doc, you forgot tax-free.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. Hey, and man, you gotta say that again for the people in the back. Hey, we perish because of lack of knowledge.
Right. Yeah. Get your both. Your pre-need policy, and it's usually a lot less expensive than a traditional life insurance policy. So I'm telling you, get your life insurance policy. You got to have one. If you don't have a life insurance policy on your loved ones, if your parents are still alive, I suggest you go get a pre-need policy on them. Number one, so y'all don't have to do all that arguing when the time comes about who's gonna pay for what, because it's taken care of.
Yeah.
And I suggest you get a life insurance policy. Some folks, we don't want to have this discussion, but we got to have it. I have it with my kids about me. I've had it so much to where they don't even pay no. When I first started having it, they like, "You all right, Daddy?" I'm like, "Yeah, boy. I'm just trying to make it easy on y'all, so y'all know where stuff is, and you don't have to argue with nobody about nothing." My mom, I went and said, "Hey, what's the deal on your stuff?" Okay, let's make sure we got it right. So yeah, you got to have that conversation. And again, hey, Keisha, you laughing and you joking a little bit about it, but that's not outside the box. That's not outside the realm of possibility and suggestion. If you got business partners, you need to be having some key man policies. So, in case something happened to your business partner, you good, So again, it is how the other side of the fence has been doing it for a long time. Long time. Y'all comfortable going to the pastor when somebody passed away. We ain't got no insurance, pastor.
Hey,
benevolent fund help us out.
Well, that go fund me. And I applaud my grandmother, my dad's mom. She had all her stuff in order. My mom was telling me this, and when she passed away, they had everything. It wasn't like let's figure out what we're gonna do. Let's all come together and figure things out. So if you can do it on the front end, it would be more beneficial to your family that they not having to deal with it when you go.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they got enough to deal with. What you gone?
They already
Man,
be-
you know what? Think about it.
Yo,
We talk about PTSD and our trauma, and one thing our community is getting very good at is starting to go through therapy and stuff like that, and to removing the stigma from that, right, and the negative connotation associated with that. How much of that is because I didn't even get to grieve properly because I'm arguing with them when my mama passed away. So now 6 years later, I still ain't grieved her properly. Her gone. That's why folks on Facebook 7 years later still talking about their papa who died. He been gone for 7 years, baby. Come on now. I know his story better than you do. You know, you ain't properly grieved it because you been you've been too busy arguing with your people about it. You know, like come on, let's get this stuff together.
yeah.
You mean that, Jason?
All due respect. With all due respect to the dead, rest in power and shit. You know, you got to change it out. Rest in peace is we offending somebody?
I was cool with I kind of like the paradise one now. I like that, but then when they get to talk about power and rest on Sandy, and I like,
Like rest in peace is simple because they gone and they ain't worried
you
about
want to
none of
be
that.
in peace. It was a great
Anything
God.
about that, they gone and they fine.
Yeah, they with the aliens now. Speaking of the aliens and Jamie Foxx, was this the real Jamie Foxx or the clone? Shit, that's what I need to know. Tell me you wasn't looking real hard when the Joker got on the screen the first time. Shit, I paused this motherfucker. I was looking like this.
you know what I thought? I just
Nigga, which one is you?
The way Hollywood is structured, I just assumed they did this before he got sick.
He was a little, and Wilkes, who's not here, he brought this up. He was a little chubbier, it seemed like. It seemed like he gained some weight. They probably had to do it before he got sick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they could have shot all of this.
Probably so. Yeah, based on the release dates and how long they be in editing and all that stuff, it probably was a before situation.
And you know what, man? The way the world is structured these days, just think about if Hollywood wanted to, and if they wasn't so, if Hollywood was truly money driven like they should be, how many movies are sitting in some factory or warehouse right now? There will be excellent movies, but kind of like in The Godfather. If I put this out, Ivan Dawkins is going to be a big time star, and I'm not going to let him be no star.
Oh, you better believe
it. So much backbiting and petty behavior.
Yeah, it's politics, you know.
Yeah, it's so much. You know, that's why I ain't good at politicking, man. I mean,
I'm sure
if I talk to you regularly, I like you.
Yeah,
I'm a latchkey kid. Being alone is a good thing with me. I'm good with that. So if I'm talking to you, I'm interacting, I'm dealing with you. But it's just so much foolishness and nonsense. This movie could be 3 years old. That's what we should have did. What we should have did was looked at the credits. It had told us, it had said, it probably would have said 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't. I generally try to look for that sort of thing, but I didn't find anything online. I mean, in fact, I couldn't even find out what it made. All I could find was the budget of 32.
No, I mean, it's going to be sitting on the shelf for a couple
of
years.
Right on. Yeah. Before they released it.
You're right.
Yeah, because they will have a different production date versus release date a lot of times. Yeah. And I believe, in fact, I'm lying. I think with this one, it was a very close period of time. It wasn't a long time. But your point is well taken though. It very well could have been.
Yeah.
They
didn't have a lot of locations really where they shot this. Probably 45 minutes of it was 45 minutes was in the courtroom.
Yeah, and that's why when I found out the budget was $32.5 million, I'm like, okay, that had to be all in actual salaries, I suppose, because it wasn't a lot of
maybe. If you're using a courthouse, I don't know, you probably got to pay the city or whoever.
No, that's a sound stage, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
You ain't never, you from California, shit. You ain't never been to the Warner Brothers studio and nobody took a tour.
No. Hey, I ain't never been.
You ain't never been to see the Wizard and how that works, shit.
I ain't never been. I just seen the Tyler Perry documentary, how he got his thing set up.
Yeah.
That's why when I went to Paramount Studios when I was in LA here recently, one of the most fascinating things that I've ever done, and it's a very inexpensive situation, but yeah, that'll, especially for us, it almost needs to be you know, shit, we need to be required to go do it just so we can get a better understanding of what's
Right.
popping up.
I wanted to read this comment right here. I put it up earlier. Had a cousin whose mother passed recently, and they didn't know they needed the concrete thing for the casket for burial, nor did they know they needed someone to open and close the grave. She's still sitting in the cold room at the furniture.
Yeah, no, that's not an unusual story. That is a story that if people are not embarrassed enough to tell it, they done got on some of them policies. Like, oh well, we thought you knew that. We were just telling you the plot. You still got to be, you know, that's because again, a lot of it is a hustle, man. And they know the people who are left behind are not as sharp as some of the people who done went on, you know. So they would, you know. So yeah, hey, and I'm telling you right now, you got any questions? Feel free, DM me. If I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you. I know folks who will talk to you, you know. Again, if you paid attention to Queen 3 and King, we've had a show called Where There's a Will, There's a Way with my attorney and Peter Hall, and we will be having a part 2 very, very soon because we got so much feedback about that show just because there was things that people didn't know. They're like, wow, I had no idea, you know.
And in this film, you know,
living trust. Living trust.
Preach. So in this film, when they kind of get towards in the trial moment, they kind of determined that the company, which was Lowen Group, was basically hiring on people from the Baptist. And
what they call it, the BBC, was it the Baptist something? Y'all remember the name of it?
I think I had it now. It was the National Baptist
Convention or
Association. Yeah, and they would basically sell the insurance and the burial plot and all to their members, and they would basically get commission on it. And so that's essentially like selling drugs to your own community, really, because they're not giving you the real deal and they overpricing it. So, and to me that was disgusting.
Yeah, and I've heard A-Trap talk a lot about what we sell out for sometimes, you know, and it's like, and he's like, it's not only the fact that you sold out, it's what you sold out for. So one of the points they made in this movie is that the corporation made $2 billion. Now, how much did the National Baptist Convention get off of this?
$200K.
200,000.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy. The comparison, that's like when the credit card sends you this ad and they say, you spend $250 and we'll give you $25.
Yeah.
So,
but basically, you're hearing what took place. This corporation got you to sell your folks out repeatedly, and we're gonna give you $200,000, but they made $3 billion off of it.
Yeah.
That's 1/2 of 1%.
Wow.
What's good, CJ? Plays by CJ. Make sure to subscribe, but don't play it at work. All right.
Yeah, do not play it at work.
And turn that volume down. You better have a headset on. But hey, CJ, go in.
You see him, man?
Come on, man. Hey, but hey, the numbers is going up. So CJ, they loving what you're doing, and they probably laughing too because this is Cowboys content, and you know what that is. All right, so they end up hiring Willie Gary. And his whole team comes over, and when his team walks in with that music, I know you noticed that, A-Trap. I know you did. Don't lie.
Hey, I made a concerted effort this film to pay attention to the soundtrack. I said going forward, I was going to focus on the soundtrack, even though the soundtrack was right in my wheelhouse. You know, it was real easy for this one, you know, this is my music. But I said it, and it was kind of dope, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a different experience paying attention to the soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, I hear it while it's going on, but it doesn't register. It doesn't like.
Yeah, you're ultra focused on the content, you know.
Right.
So
I'm like, yeah, that was dope. Back to the movie. Like, oh yeah, that's the jam, and then it's back to the movie. But this time I really understand. I even mentioned it on the show with me and Big Mo. I was like, hey man, Keisha, Dog, Wilkes, they be on me. So I got to start paying attention now.
Mhm.
And there it is. It was
Yeah.
dope.
But
It did give me a different experience with the movie.
and this was, like you said, this was up your alley. The music they played was perfect for the scene, and it was like it was like any film we seen with us walking into the building. So yeah.
And
So
to touch on something else that y'all was talking about, it's become popular in the last, I want to say 15 years, to call yourself a capitalist. This movie shows you what capitalism gets you.
And you talking about on the Lowen Group side or the
On the Tommy Lee side.
okay.
Because he walked into it trying to save his legacy. They went into it trying to exploit poor people.
Yep.
Which, in essence, lets you know that exploitation of the poor isn't a white thing, isn't a black thing, isn't a Latino thing. There's a power versus the underserved thing.
Right. Yeah, they got us falling for the okie doke arguing with white folks.
Mm-hmm.
I promise.
Yeah. I mean,
they doing the whole Sugar Ray Leonard thing.
Yeah,
Watch
yeah.
this left.
Watch
this left, and then I'm finna stick you with the right.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's the bolo punch. It's the banana tailpipe. It's all those. It's the bait and switch.
Yeah.
Because the first time I ever left the United States, I realized the only white people on earth exist in America. Every place else, I'm Irish, I'm German, I'm French, I'm Polish,
Wow.
I'm Armenian, I'm wherever.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm Eastern European. But once you cross that Atlantic, you white.
Yeah.
And this is the only place they're white. So you sitting up arguing about black and white, and it's really the haves and have-nots. And history shows you that the haves and have-nots, I mean, Marie Antoinette, the story of Marie Antoinette is about the haves and the have-nots. She didn't actually say let them eat cake, but it's a great colloquialism. It helps you understand that it's the power versus the unpowered. Empowered versus the
I don't know if it was Dave Chappelle or Eddie Griffin or D.L. Hughley, but and I think even the late great what's this white comedian name, man?
Carlin.
Huh?
Carlin.
That's right, George Carlin. But they've been trying to tell you that this ain't about race, it's about class. You falling for the okie doke. I think even Ralphie May started touching on it. The late great Ralphie May, who's Mike James, one of his partners that passed away. That
hey, from Houston, he blowing up. Ali Sadiq.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we're going to see Ali Sadiq in another week.
He's a comedian in the true sense of the word.
Yeah, and done got it out the mud, done did time, done got it, stories about his daddy and that we can relate to, So yeah, but they, hey, they've been trying to tell you this is a class issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is a class issue. This ain't no, again, the haves and the have-not. If one of your, as you would call them, and again, excuse my French for anybody that's sensitive out there, but if you call one of your white trash friends in the car with you, one of your Mexican homies in the car with you, it's me, A-Trap, Ben, and one of our Mexican homies, or me, A-Trap, Ben, and one of our poor white homies, if they stop us and say, you niggas get out the car. Hey, all us getting out the car. They don't mean you sit your ass in there. You ain't gonna just be looking like, you ain't talking to me. Now get your ass out the car.
This Puerto Rican comedian got a joke just like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I got it from.
He said, "Get out the car, niggas," and he stayed in the car. He said, "Me too, bilingual niggas."
Right. Yeah. Until we get it, man, we're gonna keep missing it.
Yeah. And that's the direct parallel to this, because the Lowen Group, they had witnesses that came up on the stand, and they had a black lady and a white lady that lived in that same kind of area and had the same exact story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They would hike the price up, or they would make it so high that we thought they said they were giving us a deal, but they weren't really giving you a deal. It was just,
The
they
deal.
needed it. Yeah, right, exactly. And so fast forward to the end during the credits, the Lauren Group end up bankrupting because
Right.
the situation they were in and the money that Tommy Lee Jones character ended up winning, and
what they ultimately admitted in open court. So
Right.
now you got pressure from shareholders, and because again, it's about money at the end of the day.
Right.
And guess what? He cost them money, so I'm sure they started dumping their shares.
Right.
The board trying to get him out because remember he got fired as CEO like a year and a half, 2 years later. But at that point, the damage had already been done, so wasn't no recovering from it. And now all of a sudden, funeral rooms across the country and other organizations like the National Baptist Convention start pulling their agreements as soon as they could, after contractual obligations and stuff. So that's why it was a slow death.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the money they had to pay out because, like he said, the number you gotta get to bankrupt me, you can't even see.
Right.
That's what's cold on the Joker, boy. That he did this shit before it was invented. He was like, "You can't see me.
You can't
Shit.
see me.
The money, the number I got to write down on here for you to bankrupt me, you can't even see."
Yeah. And so that's an interesting point of the film where Willie Gary comes in. I'm gonna be lead attorney. What was the guy's name? Mike Allred, who's was like was his attorney, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna be lead attorney. You need to sit down. This is what it's gonna be." And he said that $8 million too small.
If you ain't watching Succession,
Woo.
you're missing it.
Well, it's over with now.
Yeah, but if you ain't watched it, it's 3-4 seasons out there. But that dude played one of the oldest sibling of a family who's struggling for control of the family empire.
That series is
one of the best out there right now.
Yeah. And he was in, Rewind Back. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think that was the first thing. Yeah. But from there to Succession, I ain't seen him in anything. So
he's probably been in some small stuff that we just ain't paid attention.
Yeah, he's considered what they call a working actor.
There you go.
He's in so much stuff that you overlook.
You don't even see. That's right.
Yeah. So they end up hiking it up to $100 million. And so they basically had we got to pick the black person on each side. So Willie Gary was the attorney for Tommy Lee Jones, and then the Lauren Group ended up hiring Mamie Downs, which it's one of the most generic names I guess you could have came up with, Mamie Downs, but she was Juicy Smollett's sister, and she was in this film.
Wait. Who's Smollett?
Juicy. You remember that?
Dave Chappelle.
Does he a pillow fighter?
Huh?
Because he used to get mad about people calling him Jesse or.
Yeah, he called him Jesse. His name is Jussie.
Right.
And because
his name is Journey.
It ain't because he a pillow biter though.
No. Okay. No. He just called.
We'll explain to you what a pillow biter is later.
Yeah. After we get canceled.
Right.
After that game,
we'll have plenty of time to talk, won't we?
Yeah.
I got a question for y'all. If you are, even though it's your chosen profession, it's what you do. You understood that going in. Do you take this case?
But on whose side?
Whose side?
Journey's side.
Oh,
because that's what I was sitting there wondering.
Question, but they kind of had a question about.
They asked that question when I was
prosecuted, so they were kind of trying to go there to a certain extent. It depends, I mean, basically knowing what we know about the Lowen Group, I think the easy answer is no. You don't take it just based on what they're doing to your people, right? Which toward the end of it, you could start feeling her. She had some remorse about the situation and. Whatever. And
a little bit, but it wasn't a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think Stephen. Yeah, she said, I wish the number would have been more, so I think she had enough, right? Because I think some things hit her in a different way. I think at the beginning of this case, she had one thought process. By the time the end, let me just say this, A-Trap, to answer your question, I bet you she wouldn't take another one like it. You follow
What
me?
about you guys? Put yourself in her shoes. This is your chosen.
I'm not even gonna try to lie. I probably would have took the case.
What about you?
It was high profile. It was probably money. Right. I might have felt bad about it at the end, like she did. Yeah. But she was number one in her class with this. And guess what? There's some flattery in coming to get somebody like that. Hey, we heard you the best around. Right. You follow me? So they'll play on some of those.
And they played on the colorism. If she was light and Jamie Foxx was dark, I felt like they did that too.
HBCU, she was a woman.
Yeah, I felt like they played on that to basically get them to put them in a pen, and they go fight each other. It's kind of what it ended up coming down to.
And that's why I asked that question, because I wonder how that feels to be presented with that. You a pit bull, you out here, you knocking people's heads off, and it has been documented as some of the best attorneys, some of the best people in the medical profession, from the best IT people. There are 439 women architects in the United States of America, black women architects. I think like out of the 439, maybe 420 come from HBCUs. So you are getting the best of the best when you come from HBCUs in the building. Let them know, Ben. But I just always wonder how that feels to walk into that situation knowing I'm about to screw the folks. Mm-hmm. Because when you graduate from HBCU, you are taught that you are the best of the best. You're the example. The professors teach you, and Ben can attest to that. The professors teach you, you are setting the example for the community. Ben can attest to this too. You cut class, they will come to you, your dorm, and be like, "Hey, where you been, Ben?"
Yeah. You were Harvard, Yale, all of those schools that are predominantly white schools.
PWIs.
That's who you were. When you graduated from there, you were in a fraternity, even if you didn't join a fraternity.
Yeah.
That HBCU is a fraternity in itself. So yeah.
And that's why I was wondering when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, you've made it. She making $500,000 a year. You walk in the door at a firm like that making $250,000. Mm-hmm. So if you become the best, she's probably making $3 or $4 million a year.
Yeah. And they first introduced her, and they're like, "Yeah, she the Python,
top of her class at Harvard, and all these accolades,
But at first, before they said she, they was like, "Yeah, who is he?" It was like, "And he is the she."
It's a she.
Like what? Hold on. So I loved when they were on the plane, and Willie Gary was telling his whole story. I feel like they did some good storytelling in this, and it's Jamie Foxx style. He could tell it, and he could make sure you engage in it. But telling how he became an attorney, talking about how he was trying to buy rent this house,
apartment, just a 3-bedroom apartment.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And he ends up coming up to the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, we don't have any more. We don't have any more vacancies." And then he
couldn't tell he was black over the phone, but when he pulled up.
Yeah. So I felt like that was a good piece of this. And then we touched on it a little bit earlier, but Doc, I wanted to go to you. They're sitting in that bar restaurant scene, and the TV's on with Johnny Cochran. I mean, I felt like that was perfect for this movie, because that is almost a parallel to Willie Gary, even though he was kind of like, and they were debating it, like who do you think he did it? And that was a conversation that went on. It's still going on to this day.
Yeah, and I think it gave us a very interesting peek into what attorneys and lawyers discuss, and how they saw it. And more importantly for me, our attorneys and lawyers, and how they discussed that issue, and how they saw Johnny Cochran, and how they saw, we would be fascinated by that if we could candidly get some conversations about that.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
probably be surprised at how many of them probably despise and detest Johnny Cochran, and you'd be like, "What? Why?" Because their perspective is so different, and they think his persona painted a picture. Because I'm willing to bet every room they walked in after that, they were probably treated like like they was Johnny Cochran disciples, just because they was black, So yeah, I thought it was an interesting peek into, and plus that was coming from two different backgrounds. She was Harvard educated. He got it out the mud. He went to law school, the cheapest place he could find that, in the phone book. Shit, right? Get your degree, for $999. Shit, so two different perspectives.
At Western Career College.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the second one he's done like that. Remember, Law-Abiding Citizen? He got his degree from
Oh,
Nice.
right.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
remember the plot in that one.
And that was a good one too. That was a good one.
Law-Abiding Citizen was Jamie Foxx. He was the public defender, and then he made his way up to state's attorney. But
everybody died, right?
Yeah.
Because the cat. What was it?
I almost call him Gladiator, but it ain't him. Mr.
It's the other guy.
Prometheus.
Which Jamie Foxx was it? The real one or the clone?
Clyde. Gerard.
That female rapper said they've been cloning folks for a long time. You used to get them done for $50,000. I don't know how much it costs now.
Yeah, the one with the blue hair. Yeah.
Wow. Like you just narrowed down the rap community by saying that shit. Like now you just narrowed it down to about 25. Man.
I don't remember her name. I just remember she had blue hair. That's
Yeah,
one of them scrolling on Instagram and it just end up coming on your feed. You're like, hold on. But the character Hal, A-Trap, I want to go to you on this. He was different. He didn't talk like everybody else, but he was in the clutch. If he wasn't involved in this,
Hal
they
Dawkins
would have lost.
differently than my Dawkins.
Yeah. Dawkins with an E instead of an I.
Yeah, but Hal, I liked Hal, and I think Hal is a necessary evil in this movie. The reason I say he's a necessary evil, it was a lot of positive images in regards to our community in this. You had the opulence of Jamie Foxx and his lawyers, his partners. They all got on gold watches. They all got on loud suits. They jamming. They if I want to use the proper terminology, they're culturally appropriate.
Yeah.
But then you got Hal, and it just shows that everybody ain't hood. Hal was black as Jamie,
Right.
Yeah,
but he wasn't hood. Because you are either born in the projects or you born affluent like Carlton Banks. But Hal seemed to be a hood dude who just didn't represent hood. And I really appreciated Hal.
Yeah, I thought he did a fantastic job in that role too. I really do. He played that role well.
And if he didn't come up with, or they already had the file with the National Baptist,
was about to get rid of it,
right? But nobody seemed to be looking at it, and he had a keen eye for that, and he was also the one that brought up Willie Gary. I mean, they would have had they would have had Mike Allred, and if he would have, like you said, if he would have went in there,
that'd have been a disaster.
It was a disaster when he had to end up replacing Willie Gary too. It was horrible.
But hey, and Willie Gary, you notice, okay, so to prove that he don't win with just all flash. He's the one who noticed that the jury was going to sleep when they was talking about contract law and nothing else.
Yeah.
And he's like, we losing.
And he
got to quit talking about this contract law stuff. Yeah.
Right. He said that before they even got into it. He was like, that's boring. And nobody could be listening to that. And they were falling asleep and so this was very well done.
Question. Is the case won if he allows them to go to sleep simply because, was the case already won before they started talking about contract law? The reason I asked that is if y'all falling asleep, it would make me believe y'all disengaged because y'all already made up y'all mind.
I don't think so, because I think you go in with it slanted toward the big organization, already. So I don't think so.
I think it was just boring. I mean, it was a toss up because both sides are really putting out some good information. Now, when Tommy Lee Jones was up on the stand, it made him look bad.
Mhm.
So it was kind of more so leaning to the other side. And then
they wouldn't sleep no more.
Yeah, they definitely wouldn't sleep no more.
No, I think David Fox was of the opinion that they were going to lose it if they kept it that way too, which is why he said we got to do something different.
Yeah.
So I don't think things were going well until they made that. Even though things didn't go 100% smooth the rest of the way after that, because as you see, they removed him as lead counsel and stuff. But I still think that move was significant in terms of them being able to ultimately win the case.
Yeah. Now I'll ask you this: if Lauren didn't come on the stand, would they have won?
I doubt it. I think he, a few good men, the way they did your boy up there and said, "You can't handle the truth." They had a "you can't handle the truth" moment, and that's when everybody knew this is a loss. And I knew, okay, next scene they're gonna be talking about settlement. Because everybody knew it was over then. So no, I don't think they, win without.
Yeah, and that was Mamie Downs' idea was to get Lauren, and it ended up backfiring on him. But I knew he was gonna be. He didn't even care.
Yeah,
he would have did what he wanted to do regardless, and it didn't even matter because to him it didn't matter if they won or lost. He was just gonna pay him off and move on, keep doing what he was doing.
And that's one of my jokes I make to people whenever I ask them how much something costs and they don't know. I'm like, oh, you're rich then, huh? Because I know what everything I done bought costs. Hell, you got that kind of money where you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still mad at how much draws cost. If I hit the Powerball, I'm gonna be mad at how much draws cost.
Draws and bras done went up so much, man. I'm gonna
start. You can be for this, man. Draws cost too much, man. I'm mad about it. I'm with you, man. I know exactly how much.
Then your band, especially if you want one with a good band. You can't have no sloppy draws. When you look like offensive lineman, you got to have a good draws with the good elastic rounded. And that's how black folks say it, the good elastic rounded. You take off the E off elastic and you take off the A off around with the good elastic rounded.
Hey, man, I was so glad, man, because I had just started getting fat when they started making the cotton. Man, the jokers was cutting me when I got fat. I said,
hey, you got to put drawers on layaway nowadays to get them.
Man, here was crazy part. Draws then went up. I'm assuming bras then went up, but socks ain't went up.
Yeah, you're right about that. Now, depending on they got upper echelon socks now that they will charge for.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can still get you a good pair. You can get you a couple pair of socks for a decent price, but you got to like you said, you get to bid the thing. You donating for draws, man. I've been mad about draws since about 87. I'm at 97, man. Hey, draws.
That's why you hang on to them ones that's air conditioning because they got hose all in them.
Yeah, built-in air conditioning.
You created air conditioning.
So the classic scene of black people don't split the pole. Yeah, all of them walk single file through that. Hey, that was.
Has any of us not been there before?
Oh,
has any of us not been there before? And hey, a black mama would slap the shit out your ass if you split a pup. You understand?
Hey, I dare you to sweep one on.
Yeah, they feet. Yeah.
You sweep a black person's feet, you better drop that broom.
Yeah. We're about to throw some bows.
Where does that stuff come from, man?
Hilarious.
Yeah, man.
Sit that purse on that floor.
Right.
Your ass gonna be broke the rest of your life.
Yeah. All right. So, they end up putting Lauren on the stand and everything basically blew up. And they just kind of figured out that, hey, this is it. And like you said, the next scene they started passing that paper around. I was like, when they just hand the paper to just the person to open it, I mean, they gotta like pass it over here. You gotta look at it, then you gotta ball it up again.
Like who in the room don't know the number? Why can't you say it out loud?
That's what I was saying. I mean, maybe it's theatrical.
But it must be. Well, I don't know about that because you see it in enough movies. Remember, art imitates life, right? You see it in enough movies to where that must be legit. Is it a situation where every movie just saying, "Well, I saw him do it like that in that movie, so we got to do it," or is it just the way it is? It may be. It may be. One of those bygone customs that we just, they just hold on to. They don't even know the reason necessarily. It's just that's the way we do it. And it may have started out being a modesty thing, maybe.
I was just about to say that. It may be considered rude to say it.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I think the scene that almost got me choked up was the slave burial grounds when the guy, man, and that immediately made me think. Erica told me, like, how do we know the house our land's on right now? How do we know it's not slaves buried underneath it? We don't. So that was, and that touches on probably a bunch of movies we done, but it really hit home.
Yeah, chances are because it's not a significant enough deal on top of it. In other words, they trying to make a statement with that kind of shit, so they're gonna try to put some prominent thing. Chances are we're not just gonna put no regular ass houses over. No, we're gonna put some good shit on top of here just to put it in your face that this what this is. Now you're more likely to have Highland Park ass on a slave burial ground. You feel me? Yeah. The $5 million homes more likely to be, on something like that.
Yeah. To confirm what you're saying, Tropicana Field in Tampa, it's on the burial ground.
Wow.
They recently dug it up and found the people.
Wow.
Baseball stadium.
Yeah. Central Park was another one of those.
Seneca Park is the original name.
Yeah. I mean, so it this was right up our alley because it hit deep. It had the comedy. It had the real life stuff that goes on, and so
you're gonna get me every time with that. You do it based on a true story, and again, we can't say enough that there are going to be some artistic embellishment in this stuff, some creative licenses that filmmakers are going to take. We can live with that, and to me, it's kind of a fun game wondering what is the artistic embellishment that they did. What's legit, what's not, Right. I used to watch films and stuff like that with folks who they couldn't even let the movie finish. They already Googling shit. It's so interesting. Oh, no, that really didn't even happen right there. But that dude, he dead now or whatever. Let the shit finish. And then go do your research project,
Yeah, but hey, I was researching Willie Gary. Was he still alive? So, I mean, anything we watching, if it's based on something, and I'll say this one movie that I probably have done the most research was Oppenheimer. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it.
That's a solid film, but it makes you wonder: was this guy really like that? What was the name of the bombs and all that? But that's a side note. But
that's a powerful story.
Yeah, and they
make you deny your heritage,
right? And they built a whole city in order for them to stay there to make sure that bomb got built. It's pretty good movie. But so they're at the table. The last offer they made, they didn't say where they started. But remember, they asked for 8. Was that at first?
No, they asked for 200 million, right? Because remember, she goes whenever they said we need to start negotiating, and he was like, okay, well, set a time and we'll come to the office. He goes, hey, just so you know, it ain't gonna be no 200 million. Yeah. So you knew when they started, it was probably something like 100 million or something like that, because I think they said it at the end that the final offer was 175 million or something like that, and he was like, you ain't gonna ever see that kind of money in your life and all that other stuff. So
no, it was 75 million.
75. Okay, so then based on that, they probably started at about 25 million. If I had to guess.
Okay. No, Jamie initially, remember, he went from 8 to 100.
And they lowballed it from the
beginning, in the negotiation.
Yeah. So the verdict was November 1995, and they were awarded $100 million and then 400 million in punitive damages. So
Mhm.
when they heard the 100 million, Tommy Lee
They was
Jones
happy.
was, wow. And
Yeah.
it was like, and
And the motherfucker said, huh?
like, whoa, and what?
my
So they
favorite-
ended up appealing it, and I think it ended up coming to 175.
175. Yep.
So
You missed my favorite part of the movie
what?
when he with the song when he was like when he turned it down.
Right. Yeah. And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah, I feel. And he just started doing his pin like this. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels good.
I
That's my favorite.
think that was a neat little aspect of that. Is
Yeah.
how
He was
Willie
sick.
Gary and O'Keefe became friends and they stayed friends, and how O'Keefe took the trouble to go find him and spent time trying to find out where he comes from and stuff like that. And I think that is one of the most important messages in this movie is that you should take the time to get to know people instead of judging them based on color of their skin or where they work or where they go to school or where they live, et cetera, et cetera. That is, no true relationship happens until you get down to the personal level anyway, right? Okay, guess what? A lot of people see us as podcasters. Some people, that's a group we're a part of. Some people see us as fathers. That's a group we're a part of. Some people see us as black guys. That's a group we're a part of. Some people see us as sports fans. That's a group we're a part of. But you're not going to ever get to a personal, the most meaningful piece of a relationship is not going to happen until you start treating me as Ivan, King Dog. It's not going to get there until I start treating him as Brian or Ben. To see him as the pod father, I ain't gonna ever get to the most meaningful part of this relationship. And Tommy Lee Jones basically demonstrated that once I got to that personal level, that's when everything changed.
Right. Exactly.
But nowadays, in this microwave society, folks ain't want to take no time to get down there. Hell, you can't even get folks to get to that level with they people they trying to marry and shit, let alone a stranger.
Yeah.
Did you even ask her what her middle name was for y'all got? You super busy worrying about whether you gonna get to the drawers or not. Do you know her middle name? Hey,
Right.
or if she got one.
Facts.
It made me think about that episode of GTD.
Get the drawers, right? Get the drawers down. Rest in peace.
When he was on the stand in court,
Rest in peace.
like, what does GTD mean? Get the draw.
Hey, classic. All right, so let's get to the final thoughts. And our Mike rating. We're gonna go to A-Trap first.
I gave it a 4. Great story, great presentation, great representation, the humanity of it, the interpersonal situation. Something that we didn't touch on was the marriage. Both marriages were wonderful.
Solid.
That's a good
The
point.
women played a major role in both their lives.
Silent but powerful.
Yeah. The support of women, both of them, they gave you the impression that both of the women, if they were dead broke, those women still would have been on their team. So yeah, it was a great movie, man. I give it a strong 4. I walked into the conversation saying 4. I end it right now 4.
Okay. All right, Doc.
You sure you want to go with me now? Or you want to go first?
Oh, I'll go first. So 2 things. Well, when he said play some Tony when they were on the plane, and you said, the funny thing, none of them niggas' names is Tony. So that, and then when his mom, and they went to see his mom, and his mom was like, what he said, his desperation for love is what got him to where he was. There's always gonna be that kid that's gonna be right by you. I felt like that was a powerful thing, and that also that even though Tommy Lee Jones was kind of like, all right, I'm ready to tap out. That personal touch, like you were just talking about, Doc, really was kind of like, all right, I know I want to tap out, but he just got to say something to convince me, and I'll be back in. And I felt like him going to his family's house and all that really kind of made him help him bond. So yeah, I had I'm gonna put it at a 4. I think I had it at a 4.5, but I think that's a little too high. I'm gonna drop it down to a 4, and I think that's fair. And then I don't know if you got the Rotten Tomatoes and all that too when you go to your.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to end this program a little differently than we have. We're going to do something we've never done. This particular movie ended on a song called "Better Days" by Leandria Johnson. Okay, and it really tied this whole thing up nicely as far as I'm concerned. Right? Again, "Better Days." Remember. We talked about a lot on this show, right? And there was a lot said in that movie, legacy being one of them, right? How you get to know somebody, getting prepared for basically what all of us, like one of the things I used to do, but I used to sell insurance back in the 90s, early 90s. And one of my first jobs, out of the military. And one of the things I used to tell folks when I got comfortable with them is that everybody born to die. Life insurance is a sure thing. It's the one thing you're going to be 100% sure you're going to use it at some point, So we start thinking about those things, and this movie helped me look back over my life as Jamie Foxx kind of looked back over his as Tommy Lee Jones' character was getting to know him. And you mix that in with these Better Days song. And if you didn't get choked up listening to this Better Days, and if you can ever hear Leandria Johnson sing this and think back to what you done came through and what you done did and whatnot, hey, so before we get to that and we play this, IMDb rated this a 7.1 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 91%, which for Rotten Tomatoes it is off the charts.
Big.
And Google 82%. So and this may even be one of the few movies that all of those rating services were in lockstep in terms of their ratings too. They all saw it highly. Okay. Myself, I was just like A-Trap. I started at a 4 mics. I ended at a 4 mics. I think that's exactly where this film is. Now, I'll be honest, during the course of the movie, I was at about a 3.5 until the last 30 minutes of the movie. My rating escalated toward the end, and again, going back to this Leandria Johnson song, Better Days, and before we play it, just some of these lyrics.
Huh?
Yeah. Why did it? Well, because because it started tying in more of the racial component toward the end, and us them taking advantage of our people, and it started just to mean a little bit more in that terms. It got more personal, So, like I said, she talked about, sometimes the way we feel as people, sometimes it feels cold, sometimes you feel alone, but hold on, better days are coming. It can be rough in this world. And if you living in this world today and ain't experiencing no rough times, I don't know, either you don't care or you trying to stick your head in the sand and ignore it, So again, when you hear that song, Better Days, from us at the Forecast, we're here to tell you, no matter what you're going through, because you never know. Some folks listen to these podcasts and stuff like that because they know they're gonna be funny. They know at least they're gonna make us laugh. Them fools gonna say something ignorant or whatever. Because sometimes people tell me that sometimes the only way I get from my Monday through my Friday is starting my week off like this, listening to the Forecast of Queen, 3, and King, and that laughter helps me even when I don't feel good. I didn't have no energy today. I had a horrible day, but within 5 minutes of y'all show, we cracking up laughing. So I'm telling you right now that sometimes you speak things that be not as though they were, and if you keep saying better days are coming, guess what'll happen? And being as I say this, play this song, better days are coming.